Et gaff til a gaff. Et gaff til a gaff. I'm illy with the till a gaff. Illy with the till a gaff. Knit gaff, knit gaff. Knit gaff.
Okay, so here we are again. Yeah, I ain't done one of these for a while, so this might sound a bit crazy. So I decided to do a mixture of podcasts today. And this might even be a bit rough in the edit, so I apologize in advance because I'm knocking this out pretty quickly. This is like the 29th of December, which again is unusual for me because, you know, when I get a chance to record podcasts, I record them. And I'm not en masse, but I just record them when I can and they go out later, which I much prefer. So, you know, my podcasts never try to be topical. In fact, this podcast was never, ever, ever aimed at being topical. It was never, ever meant to be a, you know, Newsly week roundup type thing. It was always meant to deal with concepts and principles around the news. You know, never particularly, you know, the news. So a prime example is when Boris Johnson made his, you know, infamous statement about Muslim women wearing burqas looking like letterboxes. I never did a podcast about that issue. What I did was took, you know, what I thought was the kernel of what that showed, which, you know, was actually about the fact that people have this habit of just saying, oh yeah, that's just him, you know? And I called it the worst excuse for bad behavior, I do believe. And that was the whole point, that, you know, when people just get that lie given to them, oh yeah, that's just how that person is. And, you know, the extremities of it. So, you know, I thought the actual news of that week wasn't particularly interesting. I thought the root cause or the root subject, in my opinion, of that news was more interesting. That's what this podcast has always been trying to be. So what I decided to do today is a dual podcast. This is Freethinking and Business Brain, maybe, very possibly. And what I've decided to do is two things. Firstly, I decided I want to do I want to do the year in review because I love doing the year in review. I used to watch Charlie Booker's The Year in Review. Best program ever. Like, literally, motherfucker, best program ever. So I wanted to do the year in review, 2019. And, you know, in my typical style, actually, I'm a lying. I actually did some research. I just went onto a website, I don't want to mention the names, a news website, not BBC News for once. And I just flicked through all the major events of the year, and I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. But to be honest with you, the ones that came off the top of my head this year were obviously Brexit, the UK election, climate change, the Trump impeachment. Those were the ones that came straight off my dome. There's a couple of others that I thought I would throw in, and I took them off the news website just because I didn't want to, you know, miss. You know, sometimes you forget shit, right? You can't remember everything. So, you know. And I'm not going to go through them in any particular order. I ain't going to try and do this chronologically because, again, that would be pointless. But I just felt like it'd be a good thing to do the year in review because this is, you know, again, the things that happen in your life, the things that happen in the year are the driving force, you know, behind this podcast. As I said, I don't particularly always talk about the incidents. I try and get to what I think are, you know, the kernel of those incidents. That ain't made no sense in it, but I know what I'm trying to say. I try and get to the principles behind those incidents. So like I said, in no particular order. So I will start with what I wrote down first. 2019, the year in review, or as I like to call it, 2019, the year in rear view, because it's going to be gone in 2-3 days. Brexit. I actually shouldn't have started Brexit because, like, if I was you, I would just turn this thing the fuck off right now. Even I'm like, fuck, I don't want to talk about this. Okay. Brexit in summary. Going in reverse. Yeah, going in reverse, right? Let's get to the point. It looks like Brexit is going to happen, and it's going to happen on the 31st of January, which is next year, actually just over 30 days from now. Boris Johnson won the election. He got his majority. They decimated Labour, and looks like Brexit's going to go forward. As most of the people are reporting, they're going to get the withdrawal agreement through, and then on the back of the withdrawal agreement going through, they'll start the negotiation of the new trade relationship. They've given a limited time on a new trade relationship, which is totally and utterly impossible to achieve. You know, if something took 6-7 years, if not longer, to arrange, you are not going to rearrange it in a year. So, you know, they're going to bomb out of the trade talks, and then we're going to return to fucking Victorian times. This is me being non-political, by the way. And then we're going to return to draconian Victorian times in the UK. And you know me, dude, it's like, yo, that's all right, fam. That's what you motherfuckers voted for. As I said, you know, I said this right from where's the thing? I was talking about Cuba, and I was talking about my definition of socialism and capitalism. I don't give a fuck what y'all do. I don't. I used to, you know, really try and impress points upon people and make them change their mind. I'm on some Danny Glover Lethal Weapon. I'm too old for this shit. Like, fuck that. Believe what you want to believe. Do what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like that Ghostface Killer. I don't know where that sound from. Y'all could just let me get mines. Just let me get mines, and y'all can do what you want to do. That's from a Ghostface Killer album. Ghostface Killer from the Wu-Tang, called that song's called Iron Maiden, from his first album, Iron Man. It's got a sample, I think it's from Warriors or something. It goes, just let me get mines. Just let me get mines, and y'all can do what you want to do. I don't know where that sample came from. Big up the RZA, one of my top 5 producers. Let's go back into that. That was me and C Live and Amansdom. Talking of which, if I never get set again, I just realized when I was thinking the other day that Marley Marl is one of my top 5 producers, but I am way off point. But I want to throw that out there so I can return to that someday. Big up Marley Marl. Yeah, so, listen, you can do what the fuck you want to do. I am just an observer. Like, I look at life now like a motherfucking meditation. Life for me is like a living meditation. I don't give a fuck what you do as long as it doesn't affect me. Now, that's obviously stupid because every fucking thing you do affects me. But I accept that. You know what I mean? So my interest and my ability in regards of affecting what you do, just I give you my opinion. As I say in the reggae song, we throw my corn, right? You throw your corn out there, you put your ideas, your beliefs, your thoughts out there, your opinions out there, your values out there. The people who like them and agree with them and maybe want to change their behavior, that's cool. They want to pick it up, that's their business. They want to pick it up, fuck them. So, you know, that's really how I am with the Brexit thing. Labour, fucking hell. If I start talking about Labour's fuck-ups, I'd be here all day. But the point really would be this. Labour has had a massive fucking miscalculation. Obviously, because they lost massively. But, you know, I didn't really want to go into it. I kind of find it boring. But I suppose if I was going to pinpoint anything out of miscalculation, every time some stupid motherfucker said this isn't a Brexit election, they were off their fucking trolley. Of course it was a fucking Brexit election. The Tories only ever had to really campaign on one fucking policy, which is we'll get Brexit done. And everybody was like, yo, Brexit is like that motherfucking scab that you want to just rip off and move on. You know what I mean? It's like been hanging over everyone like a bad smell. It's been hanging over businesses like a fucking prophet of doom, like the Grim Reaper's just waiting for you to die. You just need to get the fucking thing over with. And Labour was campaigning on all this other bullshit. I shouldn't call it bullshit, but apparently it was bullshit because they lost fucking detrimentally, you know, and also, you know, the other thing about it is that there was no fucking, I'm trying not to use a racist term here, there was no white hat, you know, there was no good guy. They were all perceived as a bunch of fucking liars, a bunch of fucking fantasists and liars. So after a while, it didn't even fucking matter. There was no high ground. There was no like, yeah, we caught this motherfucker lying. We don't trust them. It was like, you know, they didn't trust anybody. So, you know, I'm not trying to get into the reasons why, you know, the Conservatives won to that extent, because I'm not a fucking political analyst. I just really think that Red Labour got it monumentally fucking wrong. And unfortunately, the Conservatives and Boris Johnson played a blinder. More kudos to Dominic Cummings. This motherfucker grew from Despicable Me. He is that Bond villain. Dominic Cummings just lay in the motherfucking cut. Dominic Cummings is just laying in the motherfucking cut. Like the puppet master pulling all the fucking strings, man. He got Brexit to fucking go through. And now Boris Johnson's in number 10. So, he is fucking, it wasn't Scaramanga, he was the cool villain. He's that motherfucking villain, the Dr. No, sitting with that motherfucking cat, just planning shit with his bald ass head. Sorry, no need to be really personal. But, you know, he just is that fucking Bond villain. He's fucking Professor Moriarty. He's like, you might not like me, motherfucker, but I'm outsmarting all of y'all. And that's what it is. So, fuck Brexit. Move on from Brexit. They fucked up. And, you know, Boris came in with a massive majority, big enough majority to do what the fuck he want to do. He don't need to be like, you know, politically sucking no DUP dick or anything like that. So, you know, it's going to happen. And I ain't saying it's going to be disastrous. I suppose if you like the EU and you're a Remainer and you wanted any version of Remain, then for you it's going to be fucking disastrous. If you voted for Brexit, then you should be like fucking the Night Professor's mother in, you know, in the Night Professor, you know, Eddie Murphy will be like, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules. Because you're going to get exactly what you fucking wanted. And if you discover that what you wanted isn't actually really what you wanted, like we so often do in life as human beings, that's on you, motherfucker. That's your motherfucking business. I salute you if you voted Brexit, because I'm pretty fucking sure you're going to get exactly what you wanted. And if that turns out to be detrimental to you, that you didn't plan it out properly, you know, a bit like, you know, Trump in those heartlands of America where he said we're going to bring back coal. And they be like, yay, this motherfucker's up in here. He gonna sort our shit out. And it ain't going like that. Yo, you had the fucking opportunity to make your choices. You paid your money. You made your choice. Fuck all of y'all. That's my opinion. So moving on. That was Brexit and the UK election. I'm sure there's more to say about it. But like I said, I don't fucking care. I just think it's going to be interesting. And I just think that Boris and his team played a fucking blinder. And, you know, and Labour, okay, I'll just say this one thing. There's a Man's Name episode coming with my mentor, Peter Isaacs. And, you know, he pointed this out to me again. I was having a quick chat last night. The side of the blinder that I guess if there's a principle that was to be learned here, and it's something that I've been listening to a lot, thinking about a lot with some of the books I've been reading about business psychology and sales and pitching. Shout out to Pitch Anything by Oren Klaus. Fucking amazing book. You'll be seeing much more of that in my future works. The thing is this. It's not that some people who are rich and privileged and from the establishment think that they were born to rule. The principle is that a lot of people who are poor and not from the establishment think that those people were born to rule. This is the point that PI was breaking to me yesterday. So at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of truth in that. That, you know, Labour was playing this hugely socialist card of, hey man, country for the many, not for the few. Them motherfuckers don't care about you. And we're going to get everything. We're going to give you all free Wi-Fi and we're going to, you know, make sure everyone gets a fair share of money. The bottom line is some people just do not trust certain people to be in positions of power. And I get this all the time. I'm a black guy with dreadlocks talking to people about finance and money. And one of the biggest mistakes I made in my life was trying to sell my services on the basis of my experience, talent, and intellect. Before I found out that a lot of people were never going to give a fuck. Never going to give a shit. I could have been a motherfucking Mensa member, Harvard graduate, work for Bloomberg. Doesn't matter what the fuck my CV said. A portion of the population, probably up to half, are going to take one look at me and go, yeah. And the worst part is they smile with you politely, but they are never going to do any fucking business with you. Because you just don't fit the mold of the kind of people they believe can take care of their finances and help them to invest. And I'm learning way too late in my life to, rather than try and, worry about how people judge me, judge them. If this guy is going to just smile in my face and talk shit and never do any business, fuck him and move on. Give him a Coke, tell him to have a smile and just move the fuck on. And that is playing out on a much wider scale. In fact, it's interesting that I think Donald Trump, more than anybody else, showed that you can use these business techniques in politics. Or maybe let's rephrase it. Jerry Vaz, in his seminal book, Stop Selling the Hard World, said that, the best salesman, you never catch them selling. He said, and he pointed out that politicians are the best salesmen. So maybe, I suppose, coming from a business background, Donald Trump just allowed us, he just pulled the curtain back and allowed us to see that, when the Trump circus used to roll into town, when he was just a businessman, he would trick, con, cajole, and get everybody on his side. And he just proved that you could do exactly the same thing in politics. Now, politicians have known this for years. They've been doing exactly that. But they were trying to pretend it was something separate. Now I think it's just clear to see it's the same process. So, that's all I can say about that. Let's move on, man. I'm bored of that shit already. You must be too. Okay, so the next one on my list, because there was in no particular order, was climate change. Wow. Well, here's an interesting thing. I've been hearing about the climate change as you have for many, many, many years now. And I suppose the only thing I could say about it is, yes, I believe it's happening to an extent. And for some reason, no, I wasn't particularly concerned about it. Dude, right. How can I say this without sounding like a cunt? I kind of wasn't particularly concerned about it. I never really thought about why, but I suppose because if I really put it down, it's because I know, principally, I wasn't concerned about it for this reason. Because I, for many, many, many years, even before climate change became a big deal, was always super offended when governments, organizations, whoever the hell they were, the powers that be, were busy telling me, the individual, to change my behavior in order to alleviate problems with the environment, when big corporations could just lobby, pay fines, act as criminals, and do what the fuck they wanted. And they were far greater pollutants of the environment than me as an individual. So it wasn't just an offense. It was also just understanding the practicality of it was bullshit. It's just you really trying to say that you want 7 billion people on the planet to act environmentally. Well, that's great. And it'd be wonderful if we all did it. Yes, I do my recycling, I do my shit and whatever. Do you know what I mean? But the big companies who are the major pollutants will pollute much more than all 7 fucking billion of us trying to act responsibly. And it's funny, I'll tell you how far back this goes. This goes fucking hell. Woo! Over 30 years back, this belief. And I'll tell you what happened. I was working with a guy, nice guy, really nice guy. A bit Tim nice, but dim. We were talking about the environment. Now, I was in university at the time, by the way. I was on work placement at university. So that's how far back we're going, right? I was in my fucking 20s. I was at university and I was on work placement and we were working. I was working with another university student. And I remember this guy said, yeah, the environment's a problem. We've got to worry about the environment. He goes, but the West isn't the problem. The real problem's going to come when everyone in India gets a fridge. And I was like, I'm trying to work out if leaving out this piece of information does or doesn't harm the story, but I'll have to put it in because I think it is relevant. So I'm on work placement with this, white guy. I wouldn't exactly call him middle class, but I wouldn't exactly call him lower class. If there's a class in between the two of those, that's where he would have been, right? Normal guy. But that was the vibe. I thought, well, here we go again. You're making this the responsibility of the fucking poorest people. What you're really saying is, yeah, we should do our bit, but we ain't the problem. But when all of those fucking guys, start to improve their lifestyles, then that's going to be the problem. So really, the fucking problem is going to come from the poor. And it was just a prime example to me of, a version of the same thing that I just said. It's just like, hold on a minute. You've got these fucking multinational companies polluting the fuck up out the planet. And they lobby the politicians. They've got these huge lobby groups. And frankly, they get what the fuck they want. They get to get away with what the fuck they want. And, we only hear about them when they get caught. We only hear about 1 or 2 when they get caught. And they've probably been doing it for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But you want to tell me to turn off my light bulb and sit in the dark? Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? So that was the background of my view on climate change. And as you can see, this goes back like over 30 years. Yeah, or 30 odd years. Because that was really what I saw. I'm like, yeah, you lot are just taking the piss out of us as usual. It's my fucking fault that I got to turn off my TV when I leave the house. I got to turn off my light bulb. I got to recycle. But these huge fucking multinationals can just keep on polluting and destroying the environment. Bullshit. I call bullshit. So obviously now we're seeing more and more of this. I've seen the talk continue from that 20 years ago, to the plastics, which obviously is a real problem. It's fucking just, just disgusting beyond belief what's happening with the plastics in the ocean, and even, traces of plastics being found in snowfall I saw on the TV the other day. And, obviously this shit's insane, right? But again, human beings, you pay your money, you take your choice. I'm throwing my corn, fix up your shit. You don't fix up your shit, I can't fix up your shit for you. But then now you get the climate extinction. And I suppose for me, this is where the problem kind of came in, right? If I had time to do more podcasts, I was going to do a whole podcast on this, just freestyle as per usual. Like, yeah, I get it. We're in really detrimental times. And it's kind of worrying for me, I suppose. As I get older, I become more middle-class, white, male, privileged, gammon arsehole. So I suppose what I'm really trying to say is this. Anytime you see people acting fanatical about something, I start to believe it less. I start to think it's a fucking conspiracy or a setup. When I start to see fanatical behavior, this fucking switch goes off in my head like, yeah, okay, I'm going to start watching this really closely because this is starting to look like some bullshit. When I started seeing climate extinction, gluing themselves to trains and protesting in the centre of London for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, we're going to lock down London, a little bit like Occupy Wall Street, I start to call bullshit. I'm like, I don't know why I don't believe in spontaneous movements, but I just tend to feel that somewhere behind what looks like a mass spontaneous movement of people is a Dominic Cummings. I really start to think that when it gets to that point where it's mass spontaneous movement, there's somebody behind there pulling the strings. And if there's somebody behind there coordinating and pulling the strings and getting this message out there and motivating people using, the base emotions that we feel to actually get up, put on their clothes and go glue themselves to fucking trains and lock down London, then I do not fucking believe that person is doing it for the reasons and the principles of the movement. It's usually something completely different. And that's why I started to get cold on climate change. There's a great, you have to go Google this, right? Because I don't remember. But I heard or read somewhere something to do with, why women were brought into the labor force, and it was basically some huge industrialist who really wanted to push women in the labor force because they knew they could pay them less to do the same work as men. It was nothing to do with the liberation of women and, the rights of women and the equality of humanity. It was just an industrialist who sat down and did the numbers. So I sat down and did the numbers and went, see, we can get this work done for cheaper. Cool, fuck that shit. Let's push that. So they start to put their money and their efforts and send people in with expertise to push the women's liberation movement for their purposes. Now, obviously that's a conspiracy theory, but until it's proven, right? Like some of the other conspiracy theories that were conspiracy theories until they were proven. My point being, I kind of don't even care if it's true. It just shows me, I suppose, the level of my belief, like what I believe in. And when I looked at the way climate change, climate extinction, climate rebellion came about and started to take over the whole fucking world with these protests, I just called bullshit. Like, nah, something's behind it. I'm not trying to say there are no spontaneous movements. I'm just not a big believer in them. They always make me just feel a little bit nervous. I feel a bit nervous about them. There's something about them that I find very hard to believe. So, yeah, so that's me with that. The only other thing I think is funny, I think, that I think, and there's something which is related to that. I think also there is some level of debate available. Now, I was watching some stuff on the internet when I started to go cold on climate change, because I was like, Extinction Rebellion were getting on my fucking nerves. I just didn't believe that they had actually organised and orchestrated that anymore. So I did some stuff, right? And I ain't going to lie to you. I found some flat earth shit. It's kind of so funny. This is what I mean about me becoming a white middle-aged male, man. Like, I'm like black gammon. I'm like bammon. Do you know what I mean? So I found some flat earth shit, but I wasn't sure if it really was flat earth shit. And there's one graph he said, which I found interesting. And it was talking about, the climate change people always showing certain graphs of how the Earth's heating up. But it pointed out that they always start at a particular year, Because a few years before that year, the Earth was hotter. So I kind of look at the Earth a little bit like human beings. You know, I've said this over and over again. We are survival machines. If you've ever seen the 500-pound man, or you've seen somebody who is starving to death, you'll realize that the human body will do absolutely fucking everything it needs to do. And this is all biological, and I have no idea how to explain it, but it will produce more of this, produce more of that, do everything it does to make sure that one simple thing happens: you don't fucking die. No matter what you do to yourself, or no matter what is done to you, your human body's trying to stay alive. One of my favorite examples, because I'm a martial artist, is getting knocked out. You know, I didn't really understand what getting knocked out was, but you know, what I got to understand, that getting knocked out was you get a blunt force trauma to your head, and your body, your body says, fuck what your intellect is trying to, process. Your body says, whoa, don't know what the fuck that was, but that was really fucking heavy. Now, also Donald Trump shit. We're shutting down. We're shutting everything the fuck down, and we're going to just run on basic survival respiratory systems until we work out what the fuck just happened. That's a knockout. That's the human body. Like, it don't consult you. It doesn't consult your fucking primitive brain or your fucking higher neocortex. It just says, I'm shutting down. Do you know what I mean? Everything is on shutdown. Boom. All you're going to get is a fucking basic systems that you have working when you're asleep. We're shutting everything else down until we work out what the fuck just happened. And I think the planet will be exactly the same. So I'm not trying to say that we can keep on polluting this planet. I'm not that big an asshole. I do think that the planet will have a mad level of resilience, because the planet has been here a lot longer than we have. And there's a really good movie, again, a climate change type of movie, starring Mark Wahlberg. I think it's a remake anyway. But long story short, the plot of this movie, because I can't remember the title, you go Google that shit and find it, is the Earth rebels and starts producing these spores that make motherfuckers go mad and kill each other. And then you got Mark Wahlberg and his family running away from these spores, trying to get to safety. Because, the spores, just send everybody crazy and they all kill each other. A bit like that amazing scene in The Kingsman with Colin Firth, where he goes into that church and they release that sonic thing from the mobile phones and everyone goes mad. In terms of cinema, just like priceless. But, this movie didn't do it as well, but people have been going crazy and killing each other, right? And I hope they do. I'm really sorry, man, because listen, I got kids. I love my kids. I want to have grandkids. But as we say in the Caribbean, those who can't hear must feel. And if the planet decides to fuck up our shit because we, as parasites on this planet, don't know how to appreciate it, then we get what we deserve. I guess I'm making the Extinction Rebellion argument. I'm just gluing myself to a train because, like I said, I troll my corner. I'm done trying to convince people. And as I said, I have a real kind of level of mistrust and nervousness about some of these mass movements that are meant to have been spontaneous and not controlled by the man and the powers that be, which often turn out to be controlled by the man and the powers that be for completely opposite purposes than the ones they say on the tin. But I ain't trying to say the Earth's going to be all right. I'm saying that the Earth's a survival machine. And if it has to find a way of getting rid of us until we work out to fix up ourselves, it'll do that. Now, I know Extinction Rebellion are going to say, but that's exactly what it's doing, motherfucker. And maybe so. But until the fucking gammons in this world get their head around it and, stop polluting, I don't know. I guess I'm just not convinced that your protest of gluing yourself to the train and lying down in the streets and stopping transport is going to achieve that. I think that's mainly what my point with Extinction Rebellion. I don't think those actions are going to achieve that. And I tell you why. Because the people you're talking to don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. It's like asking a narcissist to be nicer. Like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Don't you worry. People, they don't give a fuck. I don't know why they don't give a fuck. That's why they're sociopaths. I'm not meant to understand them. My only function in life is try not to become one. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm meant to understand them. But trust me when I tell you, they don't give a fuck. So I don't think all your protesting and your belly aching and your crying and your whatever, I don't think it's going to make any difference. Maybe sometimes in history there is some examples where it does, but I don't think it does. Right, let me move on. Greta Thunberg, Time Woman of the Year. Dude, Greta Thunberg, Time Woman of the Year. Wow. What was I going to say about her? Greta Thunberg, Time Woman of the Year. Again, I don't believe it. Now this is some gammon shit, some white middle-aged male shit. I've heard this from a few guys. I see this a lot in chat groups. You know, she looks like a setup. Now I'm not sure about that because I was a 13-year-old fucking card-carrying member of the Socialist Workers' Party, and my dad and my mum had fuck all to do with that. In fact, they were both pro-colonial capitalists. You know what I mean? And I was like around 11 years old, and I was like, fuck that. I was an articulate teenager. So if I was given a platform, I could have stood up on a platform and espoused my beliefs very fucking clearly. So I'm not convinced that side of Greta Thunberg is a setup. I don't think anybody's writing her scripts for her or any of that shit. The way she looked at Donald Trump, like she really want to just feed him some licks. She looked at Trump like she want to just beat him like a clown in a WWE special. You know what I mean? I think she mean that shit. But I do think it's easy to be manipulated. I could have easily been manipulated when I was 13 if I fell in with the right people. The right people, the wrong people, I don't know. But my point is, you know, it's very easy to do. So, you know, the fact that she's become the spearhead of this movement is very interesting. Yeah, that's all I can say. What I find the funniest about that whole Greta Thunberg thing is the gammon reaction. Like, this is the fucking, you know, if people say, oh, you talk about this privilege and yeah. But here is the fucking height of privilege. Who else in the world can actually go in? Like, I mean, cussing, really disrespecting a 13-year-old child and think that it's okay to do so. That's why I'm trying to say that Brexit's going to take us back to the fucking Victorian age. Because that's when you could seriously beat a child with your cane because you were a gentleman. Out of my way, Timmy, you ruffian. Get back to the workhouse. On some Dickensian shit. So the thing is, I've been seeing some, and these are business groups, by the way. I ain't trying to fucking know climate change groups. Like I said, I don't give a fuck. It's like, fix up your shit, right? But on business groups, people are going in on Greta Thunberg. Like, oh, she's a patsy, she's a setup, she's a this. And they're cussing this child. And I'm just like, well, if that don't fucking show the height of your fucking perceived privilege, that nobody is allowed to open their mouth and have an opinion, you know, and you think that you have the right to cuss anybody who perceives themselves to be wronged by your society, whether it's female, LGBTQ, black, child, climate protester, you know what I mean? They just don't give a shit, you know, and all it does to me is it just shows the level of privilege. So like I said, even though I want a balanced debate on climate change, because that's my personal view on it. No, balanced debate, i.e. stop telling the 7 billion fucking people on this planet that it's all of our responsibility and focus on the fucking big companies that are creating it, which basically means that you wouldn't be fucking gluing yourself to my train when I'm trying to go the fuck to work in the morning because you're fucking with my survival. Do you know what I mean? Focus that attention, one, you know, and I know they're doing that with the governments and but like I said, it's, you know what I'm trying to say, right? And if you don't, then fuck you. And then, and then B, you know, wait, fuck it. I totally forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, so fuck it. But like I said, talking of climate change and totally contradicting myself, you know, shit is happening. Like I said, right about now, Australia is the fuck on fire and has been the fuck on fire for weeks. California, every single year now, is the fuck on fire. The Amazon was the fuck on fire. And this is what I mean about, you know, gluing yourself to trees and shit. You know, can't remember my fucker's name now. Bolsonaro? Can't remember the fucker's name. I'm really working hard on just forgetting people and taking them out of my mentality who I just think is shit. Anyway, that motherfucker, the new president of Brazil, he's just like, yeah, whatever. I mean, like, I am not responding to this because I don't give a fuck. I'm here on a right-wing ticket with a right-wing campaign and a right-wing belief system, so fuck that. Bolsonaro? I don't know my fucking name. Anyway, so, do you know what I mean? I ain't trying to say that shit ain't real. Shit is real. I'm just trying to say that I don't particularly believe in it. Extinction Rebellion. Them motherfuckers make me nervous and untrustworthy, and I don't trust them. And their ilk is what I'm trying to say. You know, I don't know, man. It's crazy. I suppose for me, there is no solution, right? So I ain't trying to present some solution, but what I'm really trying to say is, like I said, if you can't get to the major polluters, all is lost. So a handful of motherfuckers will kill all of us out of their own stupidity and greed. That's A. And B, we have two choices. We have a political choice where we elect people who will do that for us, or them motherfuckers are going to keep on doing what they're doing. So that's why I suppose all this, it's down to everybody, climate change, which is like, fuck that shit. All them people there have never read a novel called Stark by Ben Elton, seminal comedian from the 80s, just basically a fucking genius. And I read the book called Stark, and that's what it is. It's fucking they live, you know? Like, this group of people don't give a fuck about this planet. They're already planning whatever the fuck they're going to do. Whether it's going to be to go up into space or to have their own fucking dome where, you know, the scorched earth and the fucked up planet doesn't affect them. Whatever they got planned, they got it planned. They don't give a fuck. And if we can't find a way to stop them, you know, all this fucking protesting, running the streets and playing fucking crusty hippie, you know, Mother Earth, fuck all that shit, man. Like, you know, to me, your focus is completely fucking off the rails. Do you know what I mean? If them people don't give a fuck and you can't convince them to give a fuck and you can't take your vote and there are no political parties to vote that will deal with that shit, then all is lost, man. So I'm just going to have to pray for my fucking kids in the next couple of generations. Moving on. Trump got impeached. I said it in 2019, right? I did what I don't often do. I did a end of year wrap review. And I think my first lines were, must be something like somewhere between Cohen, Mueller and Manafort, Trump's going to get caught. So I kind of predicted that Trump was going to get caught this year. Yay! And yeah, he ain't really been caught, but he's been impeached. Now, here's what I think about the impeachment. I suppose here is a problem, right? Let me tell you what I really think about the impeachment. There is a thing that the police used to do, for sure, and I'm pretty fucking sure they still do. And it goes like this. I don't like you, and I know you're a criminal. So I'm going to keep on sticking shit on you until I find some shit that sticks, and then I'm going to do you for it. And the funny thing is, we kind of accept it. Like, for example, Al Capone. We all knew that Al Capone was what he was, right? Major gangster, major murderer, etc., bootlegger, which, you know, was illegal at the time. And they couldn't get him on any of that shit. Couldn't get him on racketeering, couldn't get him on RICO. So they found the one thing they could get him on, they got him on tax evasion. And then they lumped him with the biggest tax evasion fucking prison sentence known to man. Because it was really there to pay for all the other shit he'd done, right? So God forbid O.J. Simpson get a parking ticket. These motherfuckers catch O.J. Simpson on speed and he's going to be doing that 12 years. Yeah, I shouldn't laugh about that. You know, that's about murder. And I shouldn't laugh about that. But, you know, it's a principle, right? The principle I'm trying to get to. So that's what Trump was, right? Trump came in. A lot of people, everybody, because obviously the fucker got voted in, so it wasn't everybody. Roughly around 50% of the population, probably of the fucking world, were fucking horrified, myself included. I took a while to work my way through it. Although the first thing I did say when I found out the protests was, what you're protesting about? Motherfucker got voted in. Just suck it up and wait 4 years. Then a couple of people told me why they were protesting, so I kind of accepted that. Okay, I get it. And I also get that it does make sense to protest. You know, that's your right to say, I don't stand for this. I don't agree with this. And let the world know that. And I kind of respect that still. Do you know what I mean? But my bottom line on it was, that's what half the population of your country wanted. So suck it up and deal with it. If you don't like it, change their mind. And if you can't change their mind, then we're going to have to look at some other solutions. Do you know what I mean? But the bottom line is that is the will of half of the population of your country. By hook or by crook. Unless you can show me them fucked up ballot boxes like with Jeb Bush and when George Bush got re-elected. Now that's another story. You can show me where they fuck with the ballot boxes, you got my ear. But other than that, if that's what people wanted, then we all have to live on this planet together. The good, the bad, the fucking stupid, the ignorant, the greedy, the selfish, and the sociopathic, and the psychopathic. We're all on this bitch together. So it is what it is, right? So I kind of get that feeling about the Trump thing. Like, you know, sure, the guy's dirty. And in a way, I'm kind of glad they got something to impeach him on. But on the flip side, I kind of really do see the witch hunt. You know what I mean? And I just, like, I ain't trying to be balanced for any other reason than, you know, that's the position I want to play in the world. That's the position I want to play in my life. I don't want to be a zealot. Been there, done that. Do your research, you'll find it. I don't want to be a zealot anymore. You know, done that. I want to be balanced. So I really do see the balance. That it was a witch hunt. That, you know, they were going to try and stick something on this motherfucker anyway. Do you know what I mean? Unfortunately for him, unfortunately for them, he's as dirty as it gets. So it was never going to be hard. And that's kind of all I got to say about the impeachment, man. It's like, you know, that shit was coming, right? If they didn't get him what they got him on now, they'd have got him on the next fucking thing he pulled. Because he's as dirty as it gets, because he's come from a business background of narcissism, privilege, sociopathism, whatever the fuck that word would be. Do you know what I mean? You look at the Trump story, you look at the view of his father, and the work ethic and the business practices of his father, the work ethic and the business practices of himself. You know, like I said, the stories, you know, many of which are provable about how he ran his businesses, his outlook. He's as dirty as fuck, man. You was going to get this guy anyway. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's going to be, you know, something that, you know, is just seen as, you know, inappropriate, like, you know, multiple affairs and prostitutes and, you know, with any great amount of possibility, cocaine and all the kind of things that I don't give a fuck about. You know, you do you. But, you know, the society wouldn't particularly want their head of state to be doing, or something much more substantial like this, which is using your office to bribe someone else, or using your office and the power of your office to bribe someone, stroke, threaten them, carrot, stick them into basically providing information to attack your competition, which is, you know, sorry, I'm outside, made too much of a meal of that. Election fixing, which we definitely, hopefully, don't want in a democracy. Otherwise, what's the fucking point of a democracy? You know? And moving straight on to Mugabe dying, since it's on the list, and that's where we go straight with that. Mugabe died this year, and again, I had a real kind of, is duopoly a word? Very strange end of the year for me, fucking linguistically. But, you know, real split view on that. But no, that's bullshit. I didn't. Mugabe died. The Wicked Witch is dead. Hooray. Fuck him. And I think the only kind of, you know, mixed feelings I had was just when I heard so many people talking about their mixed feelings about this champion of the liberation of Africa, which he was, and the fact that he helped liberate, you know, Zimbabwe, create Zimbabwe from the British held Rhodesia, which he did. And the fact that, you know, he was part of a huge Pan-African movement which led to the liberalization of all of the pre-colonial English African states, including eventually, finally, South Africa, right? He's part of that movement, that momentum. So people are trying to paint this guy, you know, with this kind of duality. That's the word I was looking for, not duopoly, duality. Whereas, like, I'm like, nah, you know what, man? In your life, no one can take away the good you did. But similarly, no one can take away the bad. So don't try and tell me about all the good this guy did when his people were fucking starving, living under a dictatorship for 20, 30 fucking years. I'm not interested. Like, yeah, I know you did some good. But there were some people who are trying to make that as a counterbalance on the report of his death with the bad. Like, you must be fucking kidding. Like, and I take this personally. I've been to Zimbabwe. Spent some time there, a few weeks there, and it was one of the most depressing places I've ever seen in my life. It's a place where people would make eye contact with you. It's a place where people wouldn't talk to you. You know, let me tell you something about fucking dictatorships, right? Because I've been to a couple of places where they're either under dictatorship or have just left dictatorship, and the memory of dictatorship lingers in the minds of the population, right? First thing you'll find about a country that's been under a dictatorship, nobody will tell you what you don't need to know, or no one will tell you what you didn't ask. People learn to be very succinct with their language. So if you say, is the 7-Eleven on Jones Street? They will say, no, it's not on Jones Street. What they won't tell you is it's on Peter Street, which is the street after. That's what being in Zimbabwe was like. People will not make eye contact with you. People would not. I was in Harare, right? Just in case you're wondering where I was. I think we went to Bulawayo on a couple of park places. People make eye contact with you more than so. And people wouldn't give you more information than you asked for. Why? Because loose lips sink ships. Motherfuckers die. This ain't some, oh, I might lose my universal credit shit. You know what I'm trying to say? This ain't some, it might impact me financially, or I might lose my job. This is some 3 o'clock in the morning, my door might get kicked off, and me or a family member of mine will be snatched up and never seen again. So fuck Mugabe. Fuck him and piss on his grave. There you go, said it. So there was no fucking duality in my feelings about that. Yes, you did some good shit, and oh yeah, you did a hell of a lot of bad shit. I'm not taking the good shit away from you, because you are the motherfucking archetypal fucking Bond villain who started out good and ended up bad. Don't come and try and tell me about why you started out good, why I should really have some kind of sympathy for the devil on your deathbed. No, fuck Mugabe. Piss on his grave. Let's move on. Woo! Julian Assange got kicked out of the Ecuadorian embassy. Yeah, fuck him too. Another one on some Biggie Small shit. And another one, Julian Assange, another one who I think possibly started out as a good guy trying to do good things, although the more I see about him, he just sounds like a fucking narcissistic sociopath, but still. But here's the thing, here's how I see Julian Assange, right? Julian Assange was maybe trying to do the right thing like some of these other whistleblowers like Snowden, or there's another name, but I can never remember the name of the guy, but I know that he Jesus, man, I was fucking, no, this world is so fucking politically correct that you could say the wrong shit and, you know, and be mullered for it. I was going to say transgendered, but I can't remember that because sometimes I can't remember words, right? But anyway, he changed his sex. He identified as a woman and changed his sex. But anyway, I'm just thinking about the whistleblowers, right? You know, who really did to do a good thing. And Snowden telling us what the NSA was listening to every fucking thing we said was a good thing. I think we needed to know that. And Julian Assange leaking all those papers through the WikiLeaks so we would know what the fuck was going on was a good thing. But then what happened? You're doing a good thing, right, dude? But you are breaking the laws as they stand. Now, I don't really give a fuck about the law. Anybody knows me knows that I have paid very little attention to the law of any land I'm in, right? Because the law I work with is the law of morality. I'm not going to try and be in a country where they tell me that the law is I have to beat a fucking 10-year-old 3 times in the morning before I get to work and think I'm going to follow that law. But that could be the law. So fuck the law. Simple about that. Or as one of my favorite groups were titled, I am above the law. And I fucking mean it. The laws are made by fucking judges and politicians. Have you seen judges and politicians? Have you ever seen the makeup of the judges and politicians of any country, anywhere? Get the fuck up out of here, man. Fuck the law. You know what I mean? So that is kind of how I feel. But, you know, understanding that you've broken the law means, for example, if I'm speeding and I get caught, I understand I've broken the law. I mean, the law might be bullshit, but I understand I've broken it. Anyway, you know, you have to understand that the people put these things into place are not going to thank you for breaking the law because you have the moral high ground. That just isn't going to happen. If you break the law because you have the moral high ground, you know that you are going to have to deal with the penalties of that. And of course, you're going to try, like any human being, like I said, we're survival machines. You're going to try and minimize those penalties. But the bottom line is, you know them people aren't going to fucking thank you for breaking the law, right? They're going to try and come and penalize you for breaking their fucking bullshit laws. They put their bullshit laws in there to serve themselves, and they want them fucking followed and maintained to, and they can't give you a blight because otherwise everyone will be doing it, and then their bullshit laws wouldn't work, and they won't get the self-serving society that they fucking built. That's the world we live in. Why am I going there? Because my guy seemed to take great offense to the fact that Obama and Hillary Clinton tried to have him arrested for breaking their laws. I'm not trying to say the laws were good. I'm not one of the guys who goes, well, Obama was black. Obviously, everything he did was fine. Actually, you could scoop the shit out of his toilet and serve it as paint. What's that? It's Obama shit pate. No, I'm not that guy. Do you know what I mean? I don't even particularly defend Obama. I think he was one of the presidents that were okay. The only reason I ever defend Obama is when I come up against the fucking gammons who say that everything the guy ever did since the fucking day he was born was wrong. You know, just because of who he was, then you kind of find yourself in a situation where you go, but that just can't be true. And it sounds like you're defending Obama. Do you know what I mean? It's alright. It's alright. Respect him, first black president, so that was the point. Really more of a more of an achievement. And I do believe a pretty good president. But anyway, let's not get into that. My point is this. Maybe, going after Assange, so hard might be on the list of things that he did that fucked up, like not going into fucking Syria. And, there's a list, right? Guy fucked up like everybody does, right? Okay. But the point is this. So Assange, little narcissistic fuck that he is, in my opinion. I don't think you can really call someone a narcissistic fuck, can you? Anyway, now decides, okay, you're coming after me, fuck all of you, because I got the power of the internet, da-da-da-da-da. So I'm going to go after you back. Cool. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for delivering Donald Trump into office. Thank you. Because you know what? That just shows me that you were never really about producing any kind of fucking benefit for humanity. Because if you was, you wouldn't have taken your own little fucking spiteful problem. Can't find what I'm looking for right now. And focused on that and made that more important than what was going on in the fucking world and the elections. See, that's some Dominic Cummings shit. That's why he gets paid the big bucks. He gets paid the big bucks to get Cambridge Analytica, to use the internet, to push a load of stories and lies and half-truths and untruths to a portion of the population who don't usually vote and get them to vote to swing an election. So why the fuck are you doing it? Who was paying you to do that? So you was either paid for that, or you were promised some shit probably by some fucking Trump attorney sliding in the back door on some typical Trump greasy shit. Don't you worry, man. You just do what you have to do to get us this election, baby, and we'll get you out of here. We'll get you a full pardon. I mean, did Chelsea get a pardon? I suppose I was trying to remember the person who transitioned. It was Chelsea. The word I was looking for was transition before you would have cut my fucking head off. And I do believe, and with my limited LGBTQ knowledge, and I think the army, the soldier I'm thinking of, his name was Chelsea. All right, that's a rewind. Anyway, so that's what I think about Julian Assange. Fuck him. Because it was some spiteful shit that he did because of his own fucking ego that they came at him when he knew what the fuck he done and broke the law. Do you know what I mean? And I've told you what I think about the laws already, but you must understand that if you break them, they're going to come for you. That's the whole fucking point. Don't believe me? Ask Wesley Snipes. Fucking America's full of guys in combat fucking gear, crawling through the woods, shooting at targets, talking about the government can't tax me. There's a book called Straw Man out there. Anybody want to go read a book about why the government doesn't exist and the shit can't tax you? Do your research. Most of these fucking governments were corporations. The East India Corporation, they weren't fucking governments. Yeah, we know this. Try and stop paying your taxes, motherfucker. And you will get Wesley sniped. Don't matter whether you're right or wrong. Who gives a fuck? It's the law. The law's in place, and you break the law, they have to enforce the law. So, remember that's why they have police and military and army. So, there you go. So, fuck Julian Assange. I'm glad they got sick of him. I mean, I appreciate you probably going stir crazy living in a 3x4 room for that length of time, but I don't truly think his reasoning was just. I don't think he really had the interests of the world at heart. I think he had his own interests at heart. Of course, they came after him. They set up some fucking, whatever it was, some bullshit legal charges. You raped some women, you did some shit. What the fuck? I don't get this shit. People be watching James Bond movies and they seem to think that these fucking characters don't exist and don't ever think about what they're fucking there to do. That's what they're there to do. That's what your hero, James Bond, is there to do. He gets told, this is your target and we want him fucked up. And this is the best method to do it. We have him killed or discredited or imprisoned, and here we go. And that's how we enforce the system. When we can't do it, in plain sight, we do it in the shadows. Ain't no point in enjoying spy movies and spy TV programs and feel that shit isn't happening around you, dude. And if you're going to be fucking with them people, understand that that's who you're fucking with. I'm going to talk about the t-shirt on that. So talking of which, Epstein's dead. Least surprising shit of 2019. I'm sorry. I actually appreciate how fucked up it is to be talking about somebody dying and laughing that hard. Unless, of course, they were a serial fucking child molester, then maybe I'm allowed. Child molester and pimp to the stars. What I find funny about Epstein's death is that when people talk about, climate change or, any of these populist movements and changing the world, I look at the death of Bernie Epstein, a man who, as I said, was serial child molester, very rich mogul, and probably child sex pimp to the stars and famous, the rich and famous, people of position, people of high standing, people who really don't want that shit to come out. He gets arrested. He gets put in a fucking maximum security prison and somehow manages to hang himself. A little bit like when that used to happen in the UK, where somebody with, a 2-foot arm takes a shotgun with a 3-foot barrel and shoots himself in the head. Yo, dude, I don't know if y'all do maths, boy, but the maths don't add up. So, like I said, James Bond got the call, or, I can't remember who the American, the man from U.N.C.L.E. got the call, the American Secret Service, whoever they were. Like, this guy gotta go. And he's gone, right? Simple. Whoever it is, somebody got a reduced sentence to climb up. Somebody got the order to leave a couple of cell doors open, and someone got ordered to go tie this motherfucker up. And I mean, how do you even kill yourself in a maximum? How do you even commit suicide in a fucking maximum security prison? But the point to me that kills me, which is why I don't give a fuck anymore, is people just let that slide. They go, yeah, all right, yeah. Well, of course he did. Of course he killed himself in a maximum security prison. Somebody who, if he had talked and told the world what he knew, a lot of very rich and famous people would have had their shit fucked up permanently. I shouldn't say permanently, because QED, that's how stupid the fucking world is. That he probably could have talked and they'd have probably only had their shit fucked up a little bit. But they'd have had their shit messed up, right? They'd have had their high social standing, their reputations ruined, and, maybe lost a little bit of their power and their money, whatever. That wasn't going to happen. Somebody's in the order, he gone. He gone. And talking on the back of that, and then Prince Andrew gets asked lots of questions, and with full delusion of privilege on show, decides to do an interview in a kind of Trumpian style. Because what I think is so funny about it is Trump would have done an interview because he's been blagging people for so long that, again, he expected to just go up there, say what he wants to say, and people believe him. So the people who don't believe him will never fall for his shit. But the people who believe that in what he believes, which is certain people are born to rule, the Borises, the Trumps, the Andrews of this world are born to rule, would have just believed the shit because they want to believe it, because they just believe in him. He could tell the world that actually the science has been lying to you for the last fucking whatever, how many years. We live on a flat earth, and a good proportion of his following would believe him because they just believe in him, right? That's faith. That's religion. That's godlike faith. And that's what privilege, people walk with that privilege. They have that belief partly because they have it bred into them, and partly because the motherfuckers who do believe it and give it to them. And I think Prince Andrew's version of that privilege, which actually is well earned. He's a member of the royal family of the UK and one of the most powerful royal families, still in existence. There are lots of other royal families that people don't pay a lot of attention to. I live in Spain. We have a royal family here, that stupidly powerful royal family, but people don't pay a lot of attention to it. But the British royal family has a lot of pomp, ceremony, attention, and respect around the world, and he's a pinnacle member of that. So rolled up with the privilege to just say, yo, this how it went down, and I'm telling you that because I'm the guy, with the privilege and your respect already, and so you're gonna just believe me. And it didn't work that way. And even I'm thinking, I find that so hard to believe. It's almost to me like he got set up. Do you know what I mean? Because I find it so hard to believe that would be allowed to happen. Do you know what I mean? So I know if they decided maybe they needed a scapegoat. I don't know what it was, but that was really kind of mind-blowing because, as I said, coming from that background of privilege, we talk a lot about privilege, but that really is privilege. You know what I mean? If sometimes when I talk privilege, you think, yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with you. Well, I don't think you could argue very much that somebody from the British royal family comes from a background of privilege. And I think he just expected to go, well, I'm going to tell you how it is, and that's how it was. And everyone will go, okay, thanks for clearing that up, dude. We good. But that's not how it went down. Talking about that, and talking about messing up shit with privilege is just in the right same arena, although not as important. There's that Jussie Smollett mess. Now, it's one of them ones that I don't think anybody's ever going to know. But again, I think it was privilege. Okay, he's the actor from Empire who said that he was attacked by some guys, racially abused for his homosexuality, and they were wearing MAGA hats. Just why would you do that when it's allegedly, been pretty much proven, as at least to the satisfaction of the police, that that's bullshit. Now, we got #MeToo and lots of other movements where big, powerful players who normally wouldn't be outed and ever have to pay or be charged or even known for their abuses and their crimes are getting outed, and we get to know, their crimes. So why would you make that shit up? It reminds me of that movie. I'm gonna get the name wrong. Spinning the Butter, I think it's called. It was a play and then a movie where a black kid in campus starts putting up racial slurs and then saying that he's been abused on campus when actually he was the guy who orchestrated the whole thing. And I remember, never forget the speech at the end of it, and he basically just says, well, you guys weren't abusing me, but I could see in your faces how you feel about me, how you look down on me, that you really wish you could. And I can think to that kid, yo, dude, you should have come into fucking post-Brexit Britain, man, because all you were saying was that the people at the time hated you but weren't emboldened enough to do anything about it, and that's a real thing. But then try living in a world where they are emboldened enough to do something about it. Start asking fucking, Muslims and Eastern Europeans. And one of the things on this list was those two lesbian women who were beating the fuck up on a bus by people who were now emboldened to do something about their petty, ridiculous, insidious prejudices. They hold these prejudices for no fucking reason whatsoever, and now they're emboldened to do something about them. So in a way, I get what you were feeling like, and I'm talking about the kid in that play, that movie, but you were way off base. That if people just dislike you, because they just dislike you, but they can't nothing about it, be glad about it. Don't go making some dumb fucking shit up to try and show the world that these fuckers don't dislike you. They don't have to fucking like you. First lesson I taught myself is people don't have to like me. And then I taught my kids, people don't have to like you. Don't worry with people who don't like you. It's their right to dislike you. It's their God-given right to choose who they do and don't like, who they want to spend time with, who they want to, work with. That's up to them. I never get into this whole, I'm a black man and I go into a KKK shop and I say, make my cake. And I say, I don't make no cake for no black man. You know the word I was going to use, right? Ends with a, and you say, well, you're going to have to make a cake because the law says you have to make me a cake. Why do I want you to make me a cake? You don't want to make me a cake? Good. Fuck you, go out of business. I'm going to go to the cake maker who loves black people and wants to make up a cake for a black guy. I've always make a cake for a black guy, man. Because whatever reason I have, I'm down about people, or I'm just a normal human being, and I see you as a human being, and you want a cake, and I want to take your money. Why am I gonna go demand some KKK man make my cake, pissing shit in my cake? But I go at my birthday party. Hey, what size of cake, dude? Yo, this cake tastes of shit. Yeah, but I got the KKK guy to make it, and he hates me. So I've won something. Fucking stupid are you? I don't give a fuck what people think about me. I only give a fuck about how people treat me. Big difference. You see, what you think about me, that's your business. How you treat me, my business. Because how you treat me affects my life. So if your thought process means that you now discriminate against me, now we can get into some shit. On any level. That's why I advise everybody to know how to defend themselves intellectually. So when somebody is trying to fucking mistreat you on some intellectual level, you can defend yourself intellectually and learn how to defend yourself physically. Because there'll be some people who aren't smart enough to try and abuse you or mistreat you on any intellectual level, so they'll just come at you. And then you need to know how to defend yourself physically. That's where you have a problem. But people not liking you, people hating you, people looking down on you, fuck them. That's their problem. You know what I mean? So whatever Gussie Smollett was trying to achieve, whether it was just some Insta fame or, because I think his story was he fought them off. So I think he was trying to be like, like the black gay superhero. Like, these guys came at me, these horrible Trump supporters saying, make America great again. You're black and you're gay. We're going to beat your ass. And he was like, nah, bitch. I'm from the hood and I'm in Empire, man. I make rap. We don't go, listen, we ain't going down like that. And I whoop there. I'm like, you think you're the first gay guy to whoop some fucking homophobic's ass? You obviously don't know enough gay people for a gay. I'm probably going to get in trouble again. But here's the thing. I remember I used to go to a Wing Chun class with a gay guy. He would fuck you up. It's a stereotype. But like I say, with most stereotypes, there's no smoke without fire. Gay guys tend to like to stay in shape. They be going to the gym. They are fit. They will fuck you up. If you think you're trying to make some kind of a fucking groundbreaking statement by lying to people that you fought off two fucking homophobic abusers physically, bro, you're late, bro. Because the gay guys I know will kick a motherfucker's ass. Moving on. Actually, I got it twisted. I was going to throw in the R. Kelly when I was talking about the Epstein thing as well. But yo, let me throw one in that I hadn't even thought of because it just came to my mind. I'll come back to R. Kelly because fuck him. I remember when Bill Cosby went to jail and everyone was saying, Bill Cosby went to jail. How come Weinstein isn't going to jail? And I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to go with that whole conspiracy theory, just because Bill Cosby's black, he go to jail, but because Weinstein's white, he don't go to jail. So I was like, well, no, give it time. They're still looking into the case. And when the police, I'm sure, have got their evidence and the prosecution service have got all their shit together, Weinstein will go to jail. So I apologize publicly for my naivety. Because Bill Cosby's still in jail. And apparently Weinstein ain't going nowhere. Weinstein walking with a fucking, what the fuck you call it now? He's like, got a walk up. Like, trying to play the whole, oh, I'm a victim. This is taking such a toll on me. My health is so bad. Like, we give a fuck about your health after the amount of women you abused. You know what I mean? I wouldn't mind if you couldn't use your legs and you had to fucking roll up by on a skateboard like those poor kids who were fucking, abused and sent out to beg in India. I'm not making shit up. I'm talking about things I've seen with my own eyes. Do you know what I mean? Because you have the legs bent back in the wrong direction and put on skateboards to roll up and down Mumbai and Delhi to beg. Like, I wouldn't give a fuck if you came out like that. I'd still give you time. I mean, best concession you'd get from me is a prison that was, adjusted for disabled people. So don't come out here with your fucking walker talking about how much how much sympathy we should be giving you after all the women you abused. Another pimp to the fucking stars, right? But I was wrong. Hands up. I'm sorry. Now I ain't trying to say some black shit. I would just say that let the facts state in the court of law that on the 29th of December 2019, Bill Cosby's still in jail, and the last I heard, Harvey Weinstein ain't gonna do a day. I think they charged him with some shit. You're gonna pay some fine, some fucking shit. But as far as I know, he ain't gonna go to jail. Ain't that some shit? Correct me if I'm wrong, by the way. Well, okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. Oh, R. Kelly. As I said, fuck R. Kelly. But here's the thing I'll say about R. Kelly. I'm a hypocrite, so I don't do this all the time. And I think my hypocrisy is the point that you kind of have to, I suppose, go with your gut, right? So I realized many, many years ago that if you're going to stop playing people's music for yourself or even DJing the music because of their crimes, misdemeanors, and their fucked up lifestyles, you would have nothing and no one to play. I mean, so fucking few, right? Even the other day, I was listening to a podcast I like called Disgraceland. Shout out to Disgraceland. I like Disgraceland, man. Big podcast. And while I'm shouting out, before I forget, shout out to Behind the Bastards. I meant to come back to that later. 2 podcasts I've picked up lately that I'm really loving is Behind the Bastards by, I don't remember your name, and Disgraceland by, I don't remember your name either. Look them up. They are awesome. So even Disgraceland was going into the, Dennis Wilson, the drummer from the Beat Boys, connection with Charles Manson. So we ain't even into the crazy sex. I mean, the crazy sex, that's your lifestyle, whatever. But, the connection with Charles Manson, one of America's most famous serial killers. It's like, really? Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't stop playing people's music because they're fucked up. So my only thing with R. Kelly is, yeah, he did it. I look at R. Kelly like Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein. Like, that many people complain that you did it. Yeah, you did it. Everybody around you who knew you were doing it but gave you a pass because you were a meal ticket, fuck them too. It's just a crying shame that there isn't a law that can put them in prison for being an accomplice. Do you know what I mean? All the mothers who let their fucking 13-year-old daughters go running around with you trying to get some kind of a fame, recording career, free pass so they don't have to work. Fuck them too. It's a shame that there isn't some kind of a law that can sanction them on some serious level with some gravity for being depraved fucking parents. But when it comes to the music, the guy made some tunes, right? Step to the left, step to the right. You be saying we're gonna be tonight. Listen. That's actually good. That's my favorite R. Kelly tune, Happy People. As opposed to the unhappy people chained up in his basement. When they allowed podcasts, man, and they got rid of the gatekeepers, they did a very bad thing. They did a very bad thing. So, so my point is this, right? Let's just keep this real, and I'm going to run through the quick list off my head real quick, fast. I love the Beatles. Apparently, allegedly, we have to now, John Lennon used to slap up Yoko Ono. I'm no fan of men who abuse women. I would fucking throw them off a roof. But apparently he did. And he made a song called, because what I love about artists, because I listen to lyrics, I like fucking some rapper rates. I'm just thinking of someone in particular. I like people who don't listen to lyrics. I listen to the lyrics because people will tell you the truth of their life in their song lyrics, right? I'm a writer. I'm a songwriter at heart. I'm a writer at heart. So when a man writes a song called I Didn't Mean to Hurt You, I'm just a jealous guy, and then I hear that he's been beating up his wife, I'm going to believe that shit. Moving on. Some report of Jimi Hendrix talking about being up all night fucking some 14-year-old girl. Pedophilia, maybe not. I think they call it herbophilia. Like, you like teenage women, but they are post-pubescent. Whatever, that shit's illegal. You can argue the laws with me and a couple of guys from Utah. But at the end of the day, dude, You were breaking the law, and most people would put you in the same camp as Epstein, because Prince Andrew was with some 16-year-old girl. I don't remember what the laws are in the UK. I think you're allowed to be sexually active somewhere between 16 and 18, depending on your partner. Excuse me for not knowing the laws. I don't really remember them. I know for sure 18, but I do seem to remember, if not now, there at least was a time when you could be sexually active from around 16. When I arrived in Spain in 2006, the law was you could be sexually active at the age of 13. Something I still think is a fucking disgrace. I don't even know how far back that law was or where it came from. You know, I get the laws. Sometimes they don't change laws or repeal laws. I was fucking amazed. Even though it had to be with somebody around your same age, we were like, what the fuck? And my kids are never reading a law book. You know what I'm trying to say? But my point is, all of that shit against the law. But still want to hear fucking All Along the Boardwalk and you know what I mean? And Purple Haze. Elvis Presley. We ain't got no dirt on the king of rock and roll, but he did seem to have a lot of slumber parties with 14-year-old girls. Y'all going in on Michael Jackson in the age of social media where people can actually talk shit, and no one got anything on him either. No proof on him. Rest in peace. But Elvis Presley, well, I guess all these guys are dead. Rest in peace. And Jimi Hendrix, rest in peace. And John Lennon, rest in peace. But my point is, Elvis had a lot of slumber parties, and I'm pretty damn sure Lisa Marie Presley, when he started courting her, was underage, even if they waited until she was overage to marry. Now, here's the thing. This is back in the day. Maybe you fetch somebody, the love of your life, your soulmate, and you start courting them very young, and it's all good. But if you was a Pakistani or a Bangladeshi guy in the UK, they would call it grooming. And that cunt-faced Tommy Robinson, whatever his real name is, something Lennon, would be running all over the place on social media talking about how scum of the earth like you were grooming little English roses. But Elvis was doing the same thing. But Suspicious Minds is still my go-to karaoke song. We hanging on together with suspicious minds. Suspicious minds. I don't even know the words, you know. And there's a little kind of mid-late section in that song that I just get lost in every time. Like, I don't know where the fuck the beat is. That's some white rock and roll shit. Like, there's no beat and you're meant to try and follow the song. But, yo, my point, I digress. My point is, that was the real. I know everyone's going to come at me, but that's only because I don't have my facts 100%, because I can't be asked to turn around and tap anything in this computer behind me to get these exact dates. But I know that ballpark, I'm fucking right. And the list can just go on and on and on. You know what I mean? So my point is this. These people should pay for their crimes and misdemeanors. I ain't going to stop playing anybody's fucking music. Because if I stop playing anybody's music, all these protests, stop playing the new. If I stop playing anybody's music, I'm probably going to end up stop playing everybody's music. And I got an eclectic music taste, so I love the Beach Boys, Elvis Presley, and the Beatles, John Lennon's solo career, and Jimi Hendrix. I love all of these guys, and I love R. Kelly's music as well. I love their music. I separate the two. There you go. That's me and R. Kelly done. Whoo! I'm finally getting somewhere. Dude, a lot of mass murders this year, but I think there's a lot of mass murders every year. And, you know, I can only shout, I mean, you want to shout out mass murders, right? That's fucking twisted. Yeah, I can mention some of the ones I saw, because I knew that it happened. You know, the bombings in Sri Lanka on Easter Day, horrific. The mass shooting in Christchurch, horrific. You know, the thing is, they're all horrific, right? And this is why I go back to Behind the Bastards, because I saw this and I loved the title. I thought this has got to be a great concept. So I listened to it, and the very first episode of this podcast called Behind the Bastards was about a guy called Ragnar Redbeard, whose true name was supposedly, although they can't prove it, a guy called Arthur Desmond. And he's a prime example of a Mugabe, right? Apparently, as you go through this podcast, it's part 1 and 2. They start with this guy is like, you know, I think he's in Australia or America. Damn, I don't know. But anyway, they start out with him being an advocate for the working man and really fighting hard to stop the mistreatment of the working man and all this stuff, you know. Now, wherever he is, he's with indigenous people, because one of his, you know, I'm just going to mess the whole story up, but it's a very interesting story about him defending the rights of an indigenous guy who had fought the white settlers, fought them to stop them from stealing his land. And then, he wanted to just go home and they wouldn't let him go there because he was basically a terrorist, right? You stole his land. He's fighting you. He's a terrorist. We know that story. So basically, he had spoken up for this guy. He's also a poet. A wonderful poem that they quote where, it just is like a 4/4 rhyme, and everything is yo ho. It's like because the indigenous guy's name was Tehuti, so it's like exalt for Tehuti, yo ho. Like they laugh at it, but actually it's like probably now will be one of my top 20 favorite poems ever. Exalt for Tehuti, yo ho, or is it exalt for Tehuti? Can't remember anyway. But anyway, go listen to the podcast. That's what I'm telling you. Awesome podcast. And then he does the Bond villain bit. He starts to slowly, from that point of loving this guy and understand that this guy, was fighting for his rights, starts to get this whole might is right thing. And he actually wrote a motherfucking book called Might is Right. And that is, now one of the seminal pieces of seminal books used by right-wing murderous organizations. Do you know what I mean? So, very interesting story, great podcast, more than anything else. Great podcast, really, interesting story. Really, really fucking sad. As I said, I'm not gonna big up the person, or I'm not gonna big up the person he used to be and forget the person he became. But it is so interesting that that I think some of the people, like I think the shooting in Las Vegas, I think they found a copy of this guy's book there, and it's just like only a handful of texts that these kind of fucking lunatics look to, and apparently this guy wrote one of them. You know what I mean? So it's so sad that these things are still happening in the world. But what was interesting is that there's a quote that the guy in the podcast said, and he's, paraphrasing someone else. And they said to this guy who done this, mass shooting, why did you do this? And he just said, because I'm so angry. And I think that's very telling. I think it's very telling for the whole world we live in that, people can use your anger. I've had my anger used, so I know. Now I take full responsibility for what I used to believe and who I used to be. Do you know what I mean? But I've had my anger used, and people will use your anger. We all feel anger. So the first thing we need to learn to do is deal with our own motherfucking anger before someone uses it to tell us that everybody else is to fucking blame for what's going wrong in our lives. And they use our anger. And that's very much the world we live in. That's the fucking root of popularism. Do you know what I mean? That somebody tells you that everybody else's fucking behavior is the cause for everything wrong in your life. So all the anger you feel isn't your own fault. It's not because of your own failings, your own misjudgments, your own mistakes. It's everybody fucking else's. And when you have that level of anger and people who can use it, or books or texts or whatever it is, YouTube channels or whatever, podcasts that you can use to dip into that anger and give you that belief, that's the road you're on. Learn to control your own shit and learn to take responsibility for everything that happens in your fucking life. Like everybody else, I've had a lot of shit happen in my life that I really would have preferred didn't go that way. And I've had a lot of shit happen in my life that I know other people did and I really didn't fucking deserve. But you know what? I still take responsibility for it. That's why there's a lot of motherfuckers still alive right now. And I'm laughing, but that's actually true. That if I was to really deal with the reality of the things that people have done to me, that I could prove they did to seriously fucking detriment my life. You know what I mean? I could take that view of dealing with them in that way, or, on some level of the physical scale. But nah, because I'm grateful to have learned that I got to take responsibility for all the shit that happens. And I've also got to take responsibility for the people I put in that position to affect me that way, or my inability to deal with them. Now, I'm not a fatalist. I don't like this whole, everything that happens to you is your own fault and it happens for a reason and you should be grateful for it. Fuck all of that shit. But I do definitely believe in taking personal responsibility for what happens to you and understanding that it really ultimately is your responsibility to choose how you react to other people's fuckery. What I don't like about that, what I call it fatalism, is that it almost says that other people's fuckery is some kind of gift from God or the universe. It isn't. It's just people who are fuckery. I don't believe that's no gift from God or the universe. I believe the gift from God or the universe is your ability to take someone else's fuckery and turn it into your benefit. Your ability to decide how to react to somebody else's malintent towards you and turn it into something good with your own intelligence and hard work and diligence and whatever you put into it. That's what I believe in. Do you know what I mean? That's why I said that, whatever you want to call it, the universe, God is great, because when people have come at me and I've, been able to take that and create something good out of it, I'm like, thank you for giving me the ability or the tools or the skills or the opportunity to take that person's malintent towards me and create something good out of it, but that doesn't absolve that person for their malintent. They're just fucked. Why are they fucked? Go ask God. I ain't even asking the universe or God why that person's fucked up. That's none of my concern. I mean, my concern is how I deal with what they're fucking trying to do to me. And what I've done and what I've dealt with, how some people have fucking tried and ruin my life and actually achieved in ruining my life at certain levels, is I've chosen to stay out of jail. Too bad. This be the realest shit I ever wrote. I chose to stay the fuck out of jail. That's what I chose. So I could raise my kids and be a father and be a husband and be someone who contributes to society, at least from the outside of a jail cell. So, you know me, man. I don't like to talk too much. I think I ran through most of what I wanted to go through today. Is there anything I missed? I do a couple of posthumous shout outs for other events of 2019. Obviously, there's loads I missed. Toy Story had no black characters. So, I kind of look at it like, no, fuck that inclusiveness. I just think like, I was watching Moana the other day and there were no whites. So, as long as we get a balance at the end of the day, fuck that shit. Oh, I could go on for days. Harriet Tubman, the movement. Some people in America now are protesting about non-African Americans playing African American roles. Y'all just fucking stupid. And as my boy said, my boy said, you're all just fucking agents. You're all on the fucking CIA payroll, so fuck all of y'all. Don't be so fucking stupid. Really, motherfucking, just really. Lil Nas X created history. I'm a songwriter. It's a well-written song. I haven't yet done my cultural appropriation podcast. It's been sat around for fucking almost a year now. I might try and do it now before we finish the holidays. That will give me 2 days. But my point being, the other thing I thought about that is, because Miley Cyrus is part of my cultural appropriation podcast. Like in my head, obviously I haven't recorded it. But I just think, how pissed must Miley Cyrus be to have done everything she can, thrown everything and the fucking kitchen sink at being, popular, famous and relevant post Hannah Montana, and her dad, who I like Billy Ray Cyrus for a lot of reasons, gets one of his song choruses jacked into a rap song. They banned the rap song. He's like, nah, fuck that shit. I'm down with the youth. I'm down with the kids. And he goes and re-records it and breaks all the fucking records. And I saw it on TV the other day where I think it was Glastonbury that Miley Cyrus was performing, and she brings out Billy Ray Cyrus, her dad, and Lil Nas X to perform Old Town Road, which is a genius move by her. But it's so funny because I'm looking at it like, she's trying so hard to be important on that stage, even though it's her concert. It's just like, nobody cares. She really actually looks like that little kid, like around adults when they were like, okay, shut the fuck up now, grown folks is talking. And musically, that's what they said. Lil Nas X, who's like, no disrespect, I know you probably, but in terms of the big leagues of, careers, nobody from nowhere. Billy Ray Cyrus, who's a country music legend, and Miley Cyrus is just trying to get some attention when grown folks is talking. It's fucking hilarious. Kim Kardashian wants to become a lawyer. I ain't done my Kardashians podcast either, so I'm letting shit away. But I'm down with the Kardashians. Not personally, but I don't know what, I think it's a fucking I think it's a great thing. She has lawyers in her family, and the fact of what I understand of what she's trying to do, which is, use her fame and her money and her platform to create, a legal, some kind of pro bono legal scenario where they help people who are deserving, is wonderful. And it's just amazing that, that's what it is now. This world is so stupid. When they love you, no matter what you do. But Donald Trump has said, I could go shoot someone in cold blood in front of all the fucking cameras in the world and I wouldn't lose a third of my supporters. And he's right. And when they hate you, they hate you. So Kim K can do no good in some people's eyes, and that'll be the way it is. And, I think that's it, really. Those are my posthumous mentions for 2019. I lied. I was going to say that this was going to be a double podcast, but it's already gone on for an hour and a half. So should I do the double podcast? I tell you what I'm going to do, dude. I'm going to run through it.
Et gaff til a gaff. Et gaff til a gaff. I'm in with the till a gaff. Illy with the till a gaff. Nit gaff, nit gaff. Nit gaff, nit